What's up, party peeps? My name is Roby D, and today we're going to talk about speed boosters. So I get asked a lot of questions about speed boosters, and I think there's some misconceptions. So let's just get into what a speed booster does and what it doesn't do. Let's start off with what it doesn't do first. So what a speed booster doesn't do is it won't take your EFM lens and it won't adapt it to your Canon M cameras. So what does that mean? By default, your Canon M50, your Canon M6 Mark II, or any other Canon M camera, it has a native mount called the EFM. And the EFM just goes on to your camera just like that. If you already have your Canon M camera, you know exactly how this works. Your speed booster also goes onto your Canon camera just like that. What the speed booster does, or what it doesn't do, is you won't be able to put your Canon M lens onto your speed booster. It just will not fit. Canon has 4 native mounts. They have the EF mount, which is your full frame camera. You have your EFS, which is for a crop sensor camera. You have your EFM, which is for the mirrorless camera. And then you have your RF, and then this is for your full frame mirrorless camera, right? So EFM for small mirrorless cameras, RF for large mirrorless cameras. The only lens that will work with your speed booster is going to be that EF mount lens. You cannot use a EFS, RF, or EFM, right? How can you tell one lens from another? Canon has either a dot or a square on each of their lens, and that signifies what kind of lens it is. Let's start off with the EF mount. This is a full frame and the one that works for your speed booster. So you'll notice there's a little red dot here on your lens. And you'll also notice on the inside of here and on the top of your speed booster, there's a red dot. So that tells you that this EF lens is compatible with the speed booster. You'll also notice at the back of the speed booster, there's a little white dot. And you'll notice on the inside of your Canon M camera, there's also a white dot. So that tells you that that is compatible. So that's what a speed booster doesn't do. It will not work with your EFM lenses, but it will work with any EF lens. Why would you want to adapt an EF lens? What's the advantage? Canon has more EF lenses than any other lens that they've created. And it's also their best quality lenses. Maybe you just want a really small lens. So this is a 40mm pancake lens, which is actually an EF lens, because you see that little red dot there, and that will work perfectly on a speed booster. Maybe have access to some of the nice big lenses, right? So this is my 70-200, and now I can adapt it. Does it look silly? Probably so, but is it versatile? Heck yeah, right? I've actually used this setup at a football game before, and it's amazing. I love it. Now, before we move on from a speed booster, I want to talk about one more thing and just show you the difference between a speed booster and the adapter. Our speed booster has somewhat of a magnifying glass. You can see there's a glass in there. A normal magnifying glass will give you something like a 2x or a 3x enlarging. This does the opposite. It actually makes it a 0.71 demagnification, if you will, so you can see more. It makes your sensor see more of that full frame lens. Why does that matter? Mostly so you can have access to your full frame lenses and get the full frame look on a crop body. Why use a speed booster? Well, so as you may know, your Canon M body has a 1.6 times crop. That just means your APS-C sensor in your Canon M body is smaller than your full frame sensor, maybe like a Canon 5D Mark IV. When you put the speed booster between your Canon EFM or your Canon M series body and a full frame lens, your sensor can now see the entire surface of your lens, which means that you're going to get a wider perspective. So that shallow depth of field and that full frame look that you know and love, the speed booster is going to give it to you. The speed booster actually does something that no other camera can do in the Canon lineup. Some people hate the Canon M series. They say they need to get rid of it. I actually don't agree with that. Because of a speed booster, which is maybe $150, you can now have access to all of your full frame lenses, one, but also in a very small body. This becomes a super versatile body. You have a Canon M50, a speed booster, and a big lens, and now it's about the same size of this guy, which is the EOS R. So there's not a big difference. It actually maybe make it a little bit bigger when I put this setup on. But I can also take the speed booster off, slap this guy on, And now, if you look at the difference between these two, it's huge. There's no comparisons. The speed booster, I get almost the same look as the EOS R. So you get the same depth of field, you get the same frame coverage. You won't be able to tell a big difference between these two bodies as far as framing. Now, the M50 is nowhere near the quality of the EOS R. Don't let me fool you in thinking that you buying a $400 or $500 camera is going to beat this $1,800 camera. That's not the case. But it's so close. If you have a M50, man, it's really hard to justify going up to that next level unless you know what you're going to get with going to the next level. So you'll notice they both have a flip out screen. They're so similar in design. It's the M50 is definitely a baby EOS R, but the M50 isn't as good as the EOS R. I'm hoping that the M50 Mark II catches up with the EOS R in some ways. There are different ways that you can adapt your older EF lenses and EFS lenses to the M series cameras, and that's with using an adapter. So here is the adapter that I use to adapt this 18 to 135 EFS lens to the M50. This is a very good versatile lens, and I like using it for just an all-around walk-around lens. Now, it's a great lens to be able to adapt to this camera, but if you got a speed booster, you would not be able to use this lens with your speed booster. Here's a speed booster. Here is the 18 to 135. It doesn't fit. I won't force it. It actually stops there. So you can use this lens with an adapter versus a speed booster. So you see the difference there. So if you're still in the market for a speed booster because you understand what you get and that's going to work for your situation, I highly recommend this Viltrox. I've used it for about 2 or 3 years now. It has a little USB thing in here, I guess, so you can update the firmware. I haven't had to do that for any reason. Viltrox has been a solid speed booster for me. I'll link it in the description below. If you don't need a speed booster and all you need is an adapter, I'll also link the adapter that I use in the description below. So is a speed booster for you or not? Remember these few things. 1, you can't use a speed booster with your EF-M native lenses. Number 2, you can only use a speed booster with the EF lenses. So number 3, it uncrops your camera. So on your M50, because you have that 1.6 crop, if you put a 24mm lens with an adapter on your camera, it's going to make it the equivalent view of 38.4mm. If you put that same lens in front of your camera with a speed booster, you actually get the entire 24mm perspective. So you see a wider field of view. And number 4, something I didn't even talk about yet, a speed booster actually gives you a stop better performance. Let's say you have the 24 to 105 like I do. Yes, you get access to that 24 and the 105, all that kind of stuff. But another really cool thing is that lens is only a f4 lens. When you put a speed booster in front of it, you actually get that lens down to 2.8. So what's the advantage of getting your aperture down to 2.8? Well, you'll notice that the background is blurrier. So check out here, the lens is at 4.0, and then here, the lens is at 2.8. When your aperture is at 2.8, it's gonna let in more light, but it's also gonna make the background more blurry. When you let in more light, that means you can also get your shutter speed faster. So if you're indoors, if you're doing sports like volleyball, this is going to give you an extra stop of light, which is going to give you a faster shutter speed, and you're going to have less camera shake and less motion blur in your photo. You can't do that with any other adapter or anything else. Only the Canon M series cameras give you that ability with the speed booster. All right, so this was just a quick video. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Hopefully I didn't make you any more confused. All right, you guys have a good one. Take care.